Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to join my colleagues in welcoming you to this important and equally ambitious Daring Cities virtual event. Let me preface my remarks by noting that the City of Bonn, UN Climate Change and ICLEI have had an invaluable partnership over the past few years. I am particularly grateful for the work we did with Major Sridharan and for his leadership on the sustainability front. Mr. Mayor, on a personal note, I just want to say what a pleasure it has been working with you, and we appreciate your efforts and for being such a strong climate change partner. I am hopeful we will enjoy an equitable, productive relationship with your successor when she takes office in November. We are now approaching the 5-year anniversary of the landmark Paris Agreement. While we can take some satisfaction in our collective accomplishments over the intervening years, that satisfaction must be tempered by the sobering reality of how much more work remains to be done. As nations rush to respond to the immediate crisis of COVID, they must recognize that the impact of climate change also demands an urgent response. Catastrophic fires and storms, coupled with unprecedented temperatures, show us that the climate crisis is happening right now. In 2019 alone, these events cost the world $150 billion and have imposed untold misery on so many of our fellow citizens. And it will only get much worse if we fail to act decisively and urgently. Perhaps nowhere is the work more important than in our urban centers. We all know this is where the climate battle will be won or lost. But moving away from 2 centuries of economic activity, largely based on fossil fuels, will require an extraordinary effort. Departing from our long-standing approach to financing, one that disregards the climate consequences of investments, will be especially challenging. But the challenges of going green are not unsurmountable. It will require investments that enable the scaling up of the number and efficiency of renewables. That, in turn, will require innovation in building flexible power grids, energy storage, green hydrogen, and many other clean energy technologies and enabling infrastructures. If we do that, the payoffs could be huge. IRENA's recent Global Renewables Outlook report suggests that investment in an energy system fit for the 21st century would not just result in decarbonization, but could also push jobs in the renewable sector to 42 million by 2050. It could result in a GDP growth of 2.4%, amounting to a cumulative gain of $98 trillion by mid-century. That, as the report notes, greatly exceeds the projected investments needed to transform the energy systems. But we cannot be under any illusions here. We have to recognize that we live in a world beset with social and economic inequalities. Those working the coal mines for their livelihoods, or those burning dung for fuel to cook food, or lamp oil to light their homes, do not have the capacity to suddenly make the leap to geothermal engineering. We want the age of renewable energy to improve the lives of workers, not end their livelihoods. We must, therefore, ensure the transformation to more renewable future is a just transition. While it has become abundantly clear that fossil fuels must be replaced, unless all nations have access to new technologies, nothing much will change and pollution will continue unabated. And how do we get to that just transition? It is clear that national, state, and local governments must make a solid push to help their citizens make the transition to work in new industries. Internationally, it means making climate decisions that improve the lot of everyone, not just a few favored nations. This includes financial aid, technology transfer, and capacity building assistance. This is not just feel-good psychology at play here. It's enlightened self-interest. And because climate change impacts all of us in ways and places that are almost impossible to predict, we must put our divisions aside and work together to address it. Boosting ambition, building a more resilient future, and providing a just transition from fossil to green, those are the three key elements we need to build a cleaner, greener, and healthier future. Some nations and some stakeholders have already stepped up to the plate by submitting their NDCs or fulfilling their financial pledges. Others, unfortunately, have not. And that is a recipe for disaster down the road. Nations must finish their outstanding tasks. Governments must significantly and immediately boost their climate change ambition and be accountable for meeting their pledges and working with non-state actors to build a framework for more meaningful engagement is essential. Local governments face specific challenges as well. We know that building cleaner, greener, more climate-friendly and sustainable cities and communities should be our guiding principles for the future. However, while it's possible, although it's certainly not easy, to secure the financial resources, technology and development plans to accomplish this, it's much, much more difficult to secure the political agreement to move forward with the urgency required. This is the real challenge at the local level, getting all political actors to move together in one direction. There are significant social and political realities that need to be fully managed in order to make these big changes. It's a major undertaking, but without that cooperation and proper management, progress is difficult and especially so at the local level. These are challenging times, but they have required us to work in unconventional ways. I urge local governments, as we would all governments and businesses, to look to the bigger picture, at what is at stake, at what we are trying to achieve together with respect to our overall climate goals. We have the roadmap to get there. The Paris Agreement and 2030 Agenda give the world a solid blueprint for building forward. I know that with goodwill, stout heart, and iron determination, we can get there together at all levels. Thank you.